Today's Steelers Talk video is sponsored by Hexclad. Get 10% off their premium cookware today when you go to hexclad.com/chatsports. And on today's show, I'm going to be revealing 5 things that the Steelers can do right now to improve their team moving forward. Of course, right now, 2-1, you're in a pretty decent spot, but I think there's a lot of things that the Pittsburgh Steelers can do here to improve this roster.
Hold up. Before we get started.
Oh, my God.
Everyone spam Jack a happy birthday. Jack turns 25 today. Make sure you get in the comments and spam Sperry a happy birthday. He's a true Yinzer. He loves the Steelers, and he's ready to party. So spam happy birthday, Jack.
Producer Coop, appreciate your support, man. Support all of your guys' support as well. Yes, I am turning 25 today, so thank you guys so much for your support. And with that, let's get into the news and rumors of the day. Starting with a big injury update from Houston. Backup left tackle Josh Jones is expected to miss this Week 4 matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. And let me tell you, Houston, you've got a big problem here because right now your top 2 left tackles on your roster are injured. Of course, all-pro caliber left tackle, one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game right now, Laramie Tunsil. He missed last week's game, and now he's questionable to play this Sunday versus the Steelers. And now that Josh Jones is probably going to miss this game as well, that means if both of these men miss this week's game, that means Austin Deculus. That's right. Have you ever heard that guy's name before? Maybe if you're an LSU fan, you've heard of him before. But he's expected to start at left tackle in the National Football League, going up against Alex Highsmith on every single time they line up. I mean, goodness gracious, if this ends up being the case and Tunsil can't go at left tackle here in Week 1, I think Alex Highsmith is going to absolutely eat in this football game. Take a look at Alex's stats to this point in the season. 14 tackles, a sack fumble, by the way, 2 tackles for loss, and that forced fumble on that strip sack, of course, taken to the house by his buddy, T.J. Watt, in Week 2 versus the Cleveland Browns. Listen, man, if it's Austin Deculus going up against Alex Highsmith, who had more sacks than Micah Parsons last year, oh my gosh, I don't know how many sacks he could get. I'm not putting a freaking cap on this thing, man. He could get 3, 4, maybe even 5 sacks in this football game. I can't wait to see how many he can rack up in this game. But let me know what you guys think about Alex Highsmith and his performance this week versus the Houston Texans. Do you think he gets over or under 2.5 sacks to start this for this week's game? Type O if you think over, type U if you think under. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So while I'm talking about today's sponsor, go ahead and answer today's pinned question. And with that, let's talk about today's sponsor at Hexclad. Go to hexclad.com/chatsports to get 10% off some premium cookware today. And let me tell you about Hexclad, man. They have absolutely revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of a nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. Go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off today. Hexclad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. But don't just take my word for it, guys. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay uses them in his very own home kitchen. This is what Gordon has to say about Hexclad. The sear I can get with these pans is incredible with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. And let me tell you, man, these things are the sexiest pans on the market. I brought my own Hexclad from home. Cassie and I cook steaks on this thing like twice a week. Look at this thing, man. Super clean. I mean, every time I clean this thing, super easy to clean because of the material. You know, you don't get all those spots on there, those cooking spots that you get on your pans all the time. Super easy to clean, and I've made the best steaks of my life on this pan as well. So score some points at home today. It's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with Hexclad. Real cuisine isn't made in a microwave. It's cooked in a Hexclad. So for a limited time only, get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. Now let's get into those 5 ways that 5 ideas that I have to improve the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point in the season. Obviously, the defense is playing really well. The offense is sputtering a little bit. So let's start with the offensive line here, where I think it's absolutely time to start Broderick Jones over Dan Moore Jr. at the left tackle spot. Now, listen, granted, I'm not at practice. I haven't seen Broderick Jones play in these practices all throughout training camp. I was only at training camp for one day this year, okay? But here's the thing, man. Dan Moore Jr. is not getting the job done. 29.2 PFF grade. That is dead last among NFL offensive tackles through the first 3 weeks. What are we doing, man? You drafted this kid for a reason. Broderick Jones, you want to bring him in as your left tackle for the future. The guy that's in there right now is literally the worst tackle in the game of football at the professional level. So why not go to Broderick Jones here, give him the starting job, and let him take over as the new left tackle. Number 2 on my list here, trade for Jonathan Taylor. That's right, I said it. Now, this one comes with a little bit of a caveat. The price has to be right for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to just give away Najee Harris, or I'm not just going to trade for Jonathan Taylor willy-nilly here. But here's the deal. The Steelers' run game is in a really bad spot. On 31% of their rushes this year, it's either been no gain or it's been a negative gain. That's 3 in every 10 runs, ladies and gentlemen. That is unacceptable, and this offense really needs a jolt in terms of the run game. Now, you can definitely make the argument here, and I think it's absolutely valid, that the offensive line hasn't held up their end of the deal, and you'd be absolutely right about that. But right now, with Najee Harris behind that offensive line, you're not generating anything that you're supposed to be generating in terms of the run game. Matt Canada and this Steelers offense, they want to pride themselves on how well they run the football. And right now, they're among the league's worst at running the football, which is a very, very concerning thing. Jonathan Taylor would give you an immediate jolt and potentially an identity to kind of lay the groundwork for a really great playoff run this year and move forward into the future with this dominant defense and this great run game to pair with it. Now, this is kind of the compensation that I would be looking at. Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor, swap those guys, and then either a 3rd or a 4th round pick. Hopefully, Omar Khan can get the Colts to take a 4th rounder for Jonathan. Now, you can think that this isn't a super realistic trade offer, but here's the thing, man. Bleacher Report has the same exact trade idea that they posted in a recent article, so it's at least feasible enough for Bleacher Report and other outlets to think that this could be a possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And listen, if you want a visual representation on just how much more effective Jonathan Taylor is than Najee Harris to this point in their career, let's look at their career averages per season. Jonathan Taylor is averaging 71.7 first downs to Najee Harris's only 38. Yards per carry, 5.1 yards per carry for Jonathan Taylor in his career. Fantastic number for Najee. It's 3.9. Yards per game, 89.3 versus 64.1. Touchdowns per season, 11 for Jonathan, less than 5 for Najee. And then you take a look at that success rate. I mean, and that pretty much just determines whether or not you're getting a successful run, so 3 to 4 yards every time you run. Jonathan Taylor's over 50% success rate. Najee Harris is at 46.6. Now, you can definitely make the argument that Najee hasn't had the best offensive line in front of him through his first 3 years, which is absolutely true. But I do think that Jonathan Taylor provides a little bit more juice, a little bit more acceleration at the point of attack, and I think that he would absolutely make this a better run game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if I'm swapping Najee Harris for him, and then I'm giving away a day 3 draft pick to get him in Pittsburgh and get him in the black and gold, I am doing that every single time. Once we get into the day 2 pick category, though, I think it gets a little bit hairy. But if Omar Khan can pull this kind of trade off, I think it would be an absolute masterpiece, and it would make this offense a heck of a lot better moving forward. Now, let me know what you guys think about this potential Jonathan Taylor trade idea. Would you accept it? Type A if you would accept it, or type D if you're going to decline it. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Can't wait to see what you have to say about this potential Jonathan Taylor trade idea. Now, another thing that I would do to improve this offense is I would play to Kenny Pickett's strengths. And listen, to Matt Canada's credit, they started doing this a little bit more in week 3 where they were moving the launch point. They were getting Kenny on the run, more play action. But I would do even more of this moving forward. You take a look at Kenny Pickett through the first couple of games of the season. He's completing less than 60% of his passes, right? He's got 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, but he's also had 3 dropped interceptions, including multiple drop pick sixes, or at least interceptions that would have been touchdowns, right? So I look at that, I look at his numbers right now, I look at the film, and Kenny needs to do some things differently here, and the offense needs to be structured around him differently. He's not a true drop-back passer, in my opinion, at this point in his career. But look at the strengths that he has. He's pretty darn good at attacking with play action. He's really good at the fake. Look down the field. There's a guy down there. He hits them with a laser, right? And then he's also good moving outside the pocket, right? He's a very natural playmaker. Get him on the move more often, Matt Canada. That's only going to help your offense more. And then also move the launch point. We saw that with Matt Canada's game plan versus the Raiders. That's what Kenny Pickett did with the Pitt Panthers all the time. If you watch any Kenny Pickett highlights, you always see him with that short little motion to get away from the middle of the pocket. That's something that he's very comfortable doing, and that's something that I think this passing game for the Pittsburgh Steelers really needs to be predicated on moving forward, because like I say, Kenny is at his best when A, he's working outside of the pocket or he's on the move, and B, when he's attacking with play action. Now, the run game is really, really important. Setting up that play action, all that different stuff kind of plays into it. But, man, you just got to play to this kid's strength. You have to mold this offense around Kenny Pickett and what he does well. If you don't do that, look at what the Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears are doing right now. They look like absolute garbage because they're not designing their offense around their quarterback. Matt Canada can't afford to make the same mistake. Another thing to improve here, you got to feed George Pickens more. Now, I understand. He's the Steelers' #1 wide receiver right now, okay, man? He's made some really big plays in every single game this season, but I want more, man. George Pickens, with his skill set. Right now, guess what? Guess who's second in the NFL in yards after the catch this year? It is George freaking Pickens. People said coming out of college at the University of Georgia that he was just a 50-50 ball winner. He wasn't going to be able to separate with his route running. He wasn't going to be able to make plays after the catch. And this guy just keeps proving those people wrong. He is so fast. He is so big. He is so talented. And he's improved on his route running so much that he's a legit #1 weapon, a dynamic threat for this offense. And you have to take advantage of him as much as possible. Now, coming up here, I've given you all adjustments on the offensive side of the ball to this point, but there's one adjustment on defense that I think would really, really help out this Steelers defense moving forward. But before I reveal what that is, go ahead. If you want to help out the channel today, if you're feeling generous, you want to help us out in some small way today, we'd really appreciate if you click that thumbs up icon. Lets the YouTube algorithm know that you're a Steelers fan and you enjoy this content, and it tells the YouTube algorithm to push this out to other Steelers fans like yourselves. All right, now the final thing that I want the Steelers to improve moving forward is I want them to play more press coverage on defense. Teryl Austin to start this season, lots of corners back, lots of quarters, lots of off-zone coverage. That's not Mike Tomlin to me, man. When I think about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers defense, I think about Blitzburg, man. I think about in-your-face press coverage. We are going to bully you at the line of scrimmage, and if you can beat us, fine, but guess what? Our corners are going to be so freaking physical, you're not going to be able to beat us. All right, but you look at this pass rush right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, one of, if not the best pass rushing duo in the game today, as you're starting outside linebacker 1 and 2, and that's not even counting the pass rushers like Larry Ogunjobi and Keanu Benson we have on the interior. Okay, that pass rush is incredible. So I think the way that you help out that pass rush is not by putting your corners back where offenses can just do these quick out routes and get 7 or 8 yards super easily, right? Get up in their faces, force them to beat you in one-on-one man coverage. And listen, I like the talent that's here. Patrick Peterson's had a good couple of weeks. Levi Wallace had 2 picks last week and was my MVP for that Raiders game. Chandon Sullivan, he hasn't looked great to this point, but hey, let's get up in the faces of people and let's let that defensive line, that pass rush do its thing. That's Pittsburgh Steeler football, in my opinion. I think Mike Tomlin needs to go back to that core identity that he's had as a defensive mind in this league. Now, before I go, I do have some final Steelers news items that I want to cover today, starting with this really interesting statistic here, where the Steelers have been named to this point in the season the 6th least lucky team in the National Football League through week 3. So there is this statistic, and of course no statistic is perfect, but there is a statistic out there that tries to quantify luck in the National Football League. It's called net win percentage added. And right now the Steelers are at negative 14.5%, which is the sixth lowest mark in the National Football League, the 27th lowest. Okay, so that's absolutely crazy that the Steelers are 2-1 right now, and they're kind of behind the eight ball, right? They're not getting lucky. They're getting drop passes. Things aren't going their way, and they're still being resilient, which I think is a staple of a Mike Tomlin-led team. The Steelers also made some roster moves today. Kalen Barnes, cornerback, was released from the practice squad, and the Steelers added 2 members to the practice squad here. Wide receiver Jalen Camp was sent to the practice squad, signed to the practice squad, I should say. And then also, special teams news here, man. News alert. Brad Wing, the punter, former Steeler, has signed back with the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad because Presley Harvin III, who actually has had a really good couple of weeks these past 2 weeks, is dealing with a hamstring issue, and he's questionable to go for Sunday versus the Texans. They're optimistic that he's going to be able to play, but they bring in Wing here just in case he's not able to go. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support and birthday wishes today. If you want to join the most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. Become an expert on the Steelers with our daily and free videos here on YouTube. We got weekly live shows and watch parties for every single Pittsburgh Steelers football game. Then also, we're the fastest growing Steelers channel on the planet Earth right now. Getting close to 32,000 subscribers. And then also the best thing, man, it's 100% free. There's no reason. If you're a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and you've watched a couple of our videos already, or you made it to the end of today's video, I promise you, you're not going to regret clicking that subscribe button right now.